What is up, you guys? Matt McKeever here with Damon again. We're in Winnipeg and we're going to be checking out another flip he's done on another, it looks like single family home.
Single family home, yeah.
All right, let's check it out.
So this is another place, another single family home. This neighborhood is called East Fort Garry. The one we were in earlier was in Weston. So East Fort Garry, this is a really nice zone. It's one of the nicer zones as far as things moving, that kind of thing. Everything sells pretty quick in this zone, so a very desirable spot to be, you know, if you're looking to pick up a place like this or even if you were going to rent it. So super good zone. Nothing super fancy in here. This one's a 2-bedroom, 1-bath. It's fairly small. It's only about 750 square feet, but the location's really nice. So we decided to do a little bit of work in here. This is kind of just like the entrance room, but we still threw down some laminate in here and cleaned it up, so it does look pretty nice as soon as you do walk into the place. We did have some staging and stuff, so this place is sold now, so it's going to be gone here within the next week or so. I think the possession for that is on April 2nd, so it'll be gone pretty soon. We did just have all the staging in here. We just removed it the last 2 days, but we'll post up some pictures of what it looked like with all the staging, so it looked really nice with that there.
Do you stage all your properties?
Yeah, so we do stage them all. Other than my very first property, my first deal I didn't stage, but since then I've always staged. So I highly recommend it if you are flipping houses, if you are doing this kind of thing. Definitely worth the little bit of money to stage it up. Sells a little bit faster. The pictures on the listings look much nicer, that kind of thing. So.
Do you mind walking us through the numbers on this project?
Yeah, so we picked this place up. We actually bought this one off a wholesaler. So we picked it up for $135,000. Paid about $5,000 for the fee, so about $140. Put about $40 into it, and we were hoping to get $250, but at the end of the day, we were looking to get about $239. So a little bit lower than what we were hoping for, but the market is a little bit soft. So it's gone now, though. $239. We're still making some money.
And so do you mind walking us through any thoughts on why you ended up at $239? Is it just...
Yeah, so there was a few things. One of them, in my opinion, one of the reasons we didn't quite get the price point that we were after was the curb appeal is not the best. So the color choice on the front of the house, I think we could have swapped over the color, maybe something a little bit darker, make it a little bit, maybe pop a little bit more from the street. So that was one of the main things. There was also one issue kind of outside. There was a little bit of bulging somewhere. It's not anything structural at all, but for the buyers that have a lot of options, sometimes something like that may deter them if they're not quite sure about sort of what it is. So it's really not a huge issue, but I think that played another factor. So it sat around on the market for a little while. It took a few months for us to get rid of this thing, so I think those were the two main factors. The other thing in the basement, we decided not to finish the basement. The closest comparables in this area, the basements weren't completely finished, so we did the vapor barrier, some new insulation, but it's really not a finished space down there. So if we would have spent another $10K down there, we probably would have got the remainder of the $10K that we wanted, the $250. So a few things there, but I'm still fairly happy with the $239 price point that we're getting. But if I could do it again, I would have spent a little bit more time, paid a bit more attention to the curb appeal, and then it might have been worth throwing another $5,000 or $10,000 down in the basement to raise it up just that little bit to get the 250 point there.
And so was this floor plan essentially already in place, or did you change anything?
So we changed it. So this used to be a bathroom where the kitchen is here now. So there was a wall here, so we smashed out the wall. We took the kitchen used to be back there, so we moved the kitchen to the front of the house just to make it a little bit nicer, the layout when you walk in. You can see the kitchen and the living room, made that kind of open layout. So we got rid of the wall, moved the bathroom back there, and that was the main thing that we changed, was we did rearrange the layout a little bit there. So.
Yeah, I really like the efficient little kitchen layout you have. Great. Yeah, it's pretty nice. And I did this property with a joint venture partner. So he was the one that was doing more of the renovations. He did a lot more of the planning. We purchased this property when I was still in Vancouver, right before I moved out here. So when I purchased this property, it was sight unseen for me. My joint venture partner, he was the one that found the deal. He'd been in here, he'd screened it. He was the one that did all the due diligence, and he was looking to raise the capital. So he called me, said he found a really nice deal in a really nice area. So I actually didn't even use my own capital. I raised the capital from somebody else at a really low rate, so kind of brokered the deal. Raised the money. We did a bit of a profit split with that investor, and I still made quite a bit of money from it.
and I didn't really have to do any of the renovations, so it was kind of a nice way to do it. Once you do learn how to raise capital, you know, you can do some pretty cool things afterwards. So,
do you mind sharing with the audience maybe just your experience or any tips when dealing with a wholesaler?
Yeah, so me personally, I really enjoy working with wholesalers. I bought 2 properties now, not the last one, so 2 out of my last 3 I bought from wholesalers, and it's just really nice. You just want to make sure that they're maybe familiar with the area, maybe you still want to do your own due diligence. I find a lot of the wholesalers, they don't really know, like, the renovation numbers are kind of a little out of whack sometimes, so it's good to really check their numbers. But one of my favorite things to do is to buy off wholesalers, because they do a lot of the work. You know, they're running around, they find the deal, they package it up nice for you, and then by the time you get it, as long as the numbers make sense, you can just pay them the bit of a fee there and take the deal from them. So I really enjoy it.
If you're willing to, please share, but if not, maybe just high level explain for people. When setting up a joint venture, how did you decide on the split on this one, or how do you decide the splits on other joint ventures you do?
Yeah, so I do a few different things now. So I'm doing RRSP mortgages, using people's RRSPs, registering those as mortgages on properties, and those I really like because it's fairly cheap money to use. You can pay them nice returns, you know, much more than they're getting from their current RRSP, but you're not really breaking the bank yourself, so you're not overpaying for the capital, which I really enjoy. I've done the preferred returns when I just pay them a certain fixed rate as a preferred return annually. I've also done, and I'm still doing, profit splitting, different scenarios for profit splitting. I've done 50-50s, I've done me 60, them 40. I've done a few different things that way, so it's a little more expensive when you are doing the profit splitting, but it's nice because you're sort of overpaying the investors. It makes them want to keep reinvesting, especially when you're just starting out. It never hurts to overpay a little bit for the capital, create those relationships, and then they come back and they invest with you over and over again. So that's something that I really do enjoy. The way that we structured this one is I raised the capital very cheap. It was about 7% preferred return annually, and then I lent it in on this deal, did a 50-50 split on this deal, so I still made a decent amount of money at the end of the day, and that's sort of how I structured this one here. So I sort of brokered the deal. I wasn't really the money partner, I wasn't really the working partner, but my joint venture partner, he's the one that did the flip per se, dealt with the contractors. He did a lot of the design choices. I played some part of it, but he did the majority of the stuff with that. So,
any tips for people that are maybe thinking about trying to get a joint venture partner to invest in a property they've never seen before? So how did your joint venture partner get you comfortable with the idea of buying a house you've never seen?
So one of the things that made me comfortable is I knew my joint venture partner fairly well. I knew that, I know a lot of the people in his network. I knew where he got the deal from, and they're all people that I already have a fairly trusting relationship with. So that made it a little more comfortable for me to be able to do that sight unseen. I still checked all the numbers myself as well. I ran my own comps. I did all these things. I checked out the rental budget. So I still did my own due diligence, but knowing who I was partnering with, knowing the wholesaler that we got the deal from and his organization, just that alone made me feel fairly comfortable doing it without seeing the house. And then after I did my own numbers, there was a little wiggle room there. We budgeted for, just in case we had to discount the property for whatever reason, we factored some of that stuff into the budget. So overall, after I took a look at it, I was pretty confident to pick this property up without ever seeing it, because my partner did see it. So.
Yeah, so if you don't mind, maybe just talk us through some tips or tricks on how to sell your property, or marketing materials, or how to find the right realtor.
Definitely. Well, there's a lot of different kinds of realtors out there. There's some that are really good with listing, like the retail realtors are good at getting it sold. There's other realtors that are really good at, if you're looking to buy distressed assets or really cheap properties, that can grind out and do lowball offers. There's all these various types of realtors. So when I'm going to list a property, what I like to do is I like to make sure that they're very familiar with listing. They have lots of listings going on currently. They're really good at marketing. I usually want to see a marketing strategy from them of what do they plan to do over and above just putting the property onto the MLS, to make me feel confident that they're going to be able to find a buyer. Some of them will just put it on MLS. They maybe do one open house and that's about it. So I want to make sure they're doing multiple open houses, one every weekend for the first few weekends. I want them to be doing their own marketing, so some social media marketing, and I want to see a plan in place before I sign the listing agreement with them to make sure that they have something in mind for that, and they can sort of convince me that they're the person that should be listing it. I like it when they do some decent marketing materials, that kind of thing, so they have you know, things to give to people that are very high quality, nice, maybe some type of flyers, that kind of thing. But the main things is multiple open houses and do some of their own private marketing. That's usually what I look for when I'm going to pick a listing agent. Oh, nice little kitchen in here. My joint venture partner, his name's Ian Strucker. He did a really good job at picking all the stuff there, like the layout and everything. He did a really good job just in general with this property. So, you know, props to him. He's a powerhouse. He's doing lots of really great things right now as well, Mr. Ian Strucker. So very happy with how that all turned out. This is the bathroom that was moved here. It was where the kitchen was, I think I mentioned before. So nice job. You know, this is just it is a starter home here, 2-bed, 1-bath. So it's the material that he picked was perfect for what we're trying to do with the property here. A little bit of spot, or a little bit more space back here. We did have it staged as like sort of a little office area back here just to utilize some of the open space. So we did have a desk here, a few other things, and some other pictures and that kind of thing hanging. So the hookups for the washer dryer back here, but essentially this is it.
Originally where the old kitchen was?
Yeah, the old kitchen originally was back here towards the back of the house. So it was kind of a funny layout. It was fairly simple to move all that stuff around, but now it looks much nicer. The layout's way nicer now. So, and then just behind you here, Matt, we have the secondary bedroom, kind of just into here. So, not the biggest rooms in this place, but again, this place is only about 725 square feet, I think it is here. So, you know, you can't really expect a whole lot when you're buying something that size, but for this area, this is a perfect little starter home for a couple, maybe a couple with one child maybe, or even just a couple with no kids even. This would be perfect for that. Super good location. Nice size for like an office room back here or a bedroom, depending on what they do with it. But yeah, just overall, it's a really nice starter home here in East Fort Garry. So it was fairly banged up down here. We didn't do a whole lot. There was quite a lot of space. You can sort of see now if we would have spent a little bit of money developing this area a little more, we probably would have got the $250 for it, but it would have cost us that same 10 or 12 grand to do that. So, you know, maybe it would have been worth it, maybe not so much. Just a new insulation vapor barrier down here. We used to refer, or I guess we still do refer to this property as the sewage house. We had to bust up a bunch of the cement down here because one of the sewage lines underneath was all broken up and burst apart. So we had sewage leaking up. So it was quite the mess. But
is that something you knew about when you bought it or found out after?
That was something that we knew about before. I didn't really know the extent of what we had to do for the work, but we did know there was issues down here and we were going to have to do some work down here. Luckily, it didn't cost too much more than we were anticipating, but we definitely had to bust some of the stuff up down here, find that line and patch that one line. We brought contractors through. You know, we had pretty nice quotes. We had multiple contractors come through. We had multiple quotes, so we had a pretty good idea of what this place was going to cost to fix before we got into the project. But at the end of the day, same with this one, we had a pretty big slush fund because there was a few variables that we weren't quite sure about, one of them being the stuff that we had to do down here for the sewage line. So we did, I believe we used all of our contingency fund. So again, very important, always have a contingency fund. We had a little bit more than 10% on this one, and we did go over by over 10% of what we initially thought. So, you know, we were safe. We had the contingency fund in place, but definitely always have one if you are doing any flipping, because there is things that can come out of the woodwork. You know, maybe you have to bust up a floor, maybe you'll open up a wall and it's all kind of messed up in there. So definitely put some money aside for a slush for that.
That was awesome. Thank you so much, Damon Woodward, for showing us around Winnipeg, letting us check out another one of your active projects. Really appreciate it. In fact, we really appreciate all of the Winnipeg crew that let us check out Winnipeg and showed us their projects. If you guys haven't seen the other videos, we have a ton of videos from different Winnipeg real estate investors, and we check out all sorts of projects. So we check out some buy and holds, a lot of flips, and they kind of break down for us just their different strategies, tactics, all that great stuff about what they're doing in Winnipeg, Manitoba. And Winnipeg's just one of the cities we want to hit up. I'd love to hit up every single city in North America, eventually why not the world. So leave a comment on this video, let us know what market you're in, what you're up to, and maybe we can find a time to come out and visit you. Until next time, remember, making money is a team sport. There's more than enough money in this world for us to all make it, but if you're not saving it, I mean, like, what's the point? Thanks guys, bye!